Okay, so this is on WBALTV.com. Anyway, at a site where so many have died, it's not surprising that ghost stories come to life. When you think of Fort McHenry, you think of the Star-Spangled Banner and the War of 1812. And it's not an unusual to see reenactors at the fort, but over the years, some people have reported seeing something else. A woman came in and said she saw feet off the ground. It turns out what she was pointing to was the site of where there used to be a hangman's gallows. Fort McHenry Ranger Vince Ray said. Although he has never seen one, Ray said there are plenty of stories of spectral sightings at Fort McHenry. He said many of the encounters involved soldiers from the War of 1812 walking the bricks. In one instance, a woman claimed to have seen two soldiers killed by the British suddenly appear behind a tour guide. A woman came up to him and said, "Back in those days, did the defenders have two white crossbows and wear blue coats and white pants and boots?" And he said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, there were two of them behind you hovering," they said. A lot of these legends have an origin in some actual historical fact that happened. Whether you say it's a ghost or not is up to the person. Learning the history of the fort gives background. During World War I, the barracks served as a huge 3,000-bed hospital. In a sense, that's where a lot of the horror stories come from. But those were true stories, they said. There are other stories like a female prisoner spotted in a second floor window by reenactors. They were going to spend the night in the second floor up there and they saw the figure of a woman in a Victorian era looking dress looking out the window and then she disappeared, they said. One of the creepiest places in the fort is the jail, which served as death row during the Civil War, and where they said a soldier ended themselves. There are those who claim that if you rub your hand along the wall, there's a warm spot that you can feel, they said. The fort stopped offering ghost tours a long time ago, but all day Saturday it will be sharing more about its legends and lore. So this was updated October 30th, 2015. So I guess the 31st. Next is the USS Constellation. So the USS Constellation is a historic ship docked in Baltimore's Inner Harbor. Visitors and staff have reported a variety of paranormal experiences, including disembodied whispers, phantom footsteps, and even sightings of ghostly figures. The ship's history includes tales of accidents, deaths, and a prisoner's ghostly encounter, which may contribute to these reports. Stories of sailors falling from the mast, being crushed by rigging, and even a sailor's self-end on the upper deck with a noose fashioned from the rigging are common. Some have reported seeing the spirits of former shipmates, including a mad sailor and two shipmates who danced and wanted a prisoner to sing for them. Reports of phantom footsteps, disembodied whispers, and even floating pots and pans have been documented. Many visitors have described seeing ghostly figures walking the decks or peering through the gun ports. Some have even talked to tour guides in period clothing who do not exist. The USS Constellation has been investigated by paranormal researchers, and some of these investigations have been featured on television shows like The Holzer Files. For example, in 1968, Hans Holzer and Sybil Leek investigated the ship. The USS Constellation offers lantern tours and sleepovers, allowing visitors to experience the ship's history and its alleged hauntings. Okay, next is the Phantom of O'Donnell Heights. Okay, it was a black-robed spectre who crawled from among the tombstones of an East Baltimore graveyard to terrorize an entire neighborhood during the hot summer of 1951. They called him the Phantom of O'Donnell Heights, and his nocturnal wanderings over the rooftops of the blue-collar section sent teams of vigilantes into the streets armed with sticks, shotguns, and butcher knives. He was reported hiding under automobiles, enticing little girls to come closer, my dear. He was seen jumping from 20-foot-high walls but left no imprints on the ground. This galloping ghost vaulted over 6-foot graveyard fences trimmed with barbed wire and vanished among the tombstones. During his 2-week romp, eerie haunting music was heard coming from the graveyard chapel at 1 a.m. Wherever he was, the Phantom did not fear the armed mobs that set out to catch him, but openly defied them. He would come within view and, like a wily fox, led them on a chase. One night, the chase ended amid the moonlit graves. Several of the pursuers swore they saw the Phantom jump into a sarcophagus. He's returned to the grave, one said, and as the August moon cast a pale glow on the tilting tombstones and the small crowded streets of O'Donnell Heights, the community began sleeping again in their second-floor bedrooms. Shells were ejected from shotguns, the butcher knives put back in the kitchen drawer, and the lookout post went unmanned. Somewhere a dog barked and knocked over a garbage can, but nobody started screaming. A baby cried for its 1 a.m. bottle, but then the lights were turned out again, and nothing more was ever heard of the terrible Phantom of O'Donnell Heights. Next is Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe, nee Edgar Poe, January 19, 1809 to October 7, 1846, was an American writer, poet, editor, and literary critic who is best known for his poetry and short stories, particularly his tales involving mystery and the macabre. He is widely regarded as one of the central figures of Romanticism and Gothic fiction in the United States and of early American literature. Poe was one of the country's first successful practitioners of the short story and is generally considered to be the inventor of the detective fiction genre. In addition, he is credited with contributing significantly to the emergence of science fiction. He is the first well-known American writer to earn a living exclusively through writing, which result in a financially difficult life and career. Okay. So I'm only gonna go through early life and education and his death. So yeah. Edgar Poe was born in Boston, Massachusetts on January 19th, 1809, the second child of American actor David Poe Jr. and English-born actress Elizabeth Arnold Hopkins Poe. He had an elder brother Henry and a younger sister Rosalie. Their grandfather David Poe had emigrated from County Cavan, Ireland around 1750. His father abandoned the family in 1810 and his mother died a year later from pulmonary tuberculosis. Poe was then taken to the home of John Allen, a successful merchant in Richmond, Virginia, who dealt in a variety of goods including cloth, wheat, tombstones, tobacco, and slaves. The Allens served as a foster family and gave him the name Edgar Allan Poe, although they never formally adopted him. The Allen family had Poe baptized into the Episcopal Church in 1812. John Allen alternately spoiled and aggressively disciplined his foster son. The family sailed to the United Kingdom in 1815 and Poe attended a grammar school for a short period in Irving, Ayrshire, Scotland, where Allen was born. Before rejoining the family in London in 1816. There he studied at a boarding school in Chelsea until summer 1817. He was subsequently at the Reverend John Bransby's Manor House School in Stoke Newington, then a suburb 4 miles north of London. Poe moved to Richmond with the Allens in 1820. In 1824, he served as the lieutenant of the Richmond Youth Honor Guard as the city celebrated the visit of the Marquis de Lafayette. In March 1825, Allen's uncle and business benefactor William Gout died, who was said to be one of the wealthiest men in Richmond, leaving Allen several acres of real estate. The inheritance was estimated at $750,000, equivalent to $21 million in 2024. I probably said the wrong thing. Anyway, by summer 1825, Allen celebrated his expensive wealth by purchasing a 2-story brick house called Moldavia. Poe may have become engaged to Sarah Elmira Royster before he registered at the University of Virginia in February 1826 to study ancient and modern languages. The university was in its infancy, established on the ideals of its founder Thomas Jefferson. It had strict rules against gambling, horses, guns, tobacco, and alcohol, but these rules were mostly ignored. Jefferson enacted a system of student self-government, allowing students to choose their own studies, make their own arrangements for voting, and report all wrongdoing to the faculty. The unique system was rather chaotic, and there was a high dropout rate. During his time there, Poe lost touch with Royster and also became estranged from his foster father over gambling debts. He claimed that Allen had not given him sufficient money to register for classes, purchase texts, or procure and furnish a dormitory. Allen did send additional money and clothes, but Poe's debts increased. Poe gave up on the university after a year but did not feel welcome to return to Richmond, especially when he learned that his sweetheart Royster had married another man, Alexander Shelton. Instead, he traveled to Boston in April 1827, sustaining himself with odd jobs as a clerk and newspaper contributor. Poe started using the pseudonym Henry Leavenworth during this period. On October 3rd, 1849, Poe was found semi-conscious in Baltimore, in great distress and in need of immediate assistance. According to Joseph W. Walker, who found him, he was taken to Washington Medical College, where he died on Sunday, October 7th, 1849, at 5 in the morning. Poe was not coherent long enough to explain how he came to be in his dire condition and why he was wearing clothes that were not his own. He is said to have reportedly called out the name Reynolds on the night before his death, though it is unclear to whom he was referring. His attending physician said that Poe's final words were, "Lord, help my poor soul." All of the relevant medical records have been lost, including Poe's death certificate. Newspapers at the time reported Poe's death as congestion of the brain or cerebral inflammation. Common euphemisms for death from disreputable causes such as alcoholism. The actual cause of death remains a mystery. Speculation has included delirium tremens, heart disease, epilepsy, syphilis, meningeal inflammation, carbon monoxide poisoning, and rabies. One theory dating from 1872 suggests that Poe's death resulted from cooping, a form of electoral fraud in which citizens were forced to vote for a particular candidate, sometimes leading to violence and even murder. So, yeah. Okay, so this is on the Baltimore banner. Okay. Sometimes for no reason, the bathroom at the Blue Moon Cafe is as ice cold as a walk-in refrigerator, said server Julio Torres. His aunt and co-worker Erica Torres once found the door shut and locked. She knocked, silence. The toilet flushed and the door opened, but no one was there. Never mind. You have to subscribe to read it. Okay, so I guess that's it. Bye.